Hi, welcome to Sweet Savory Seasonal, where we take a seasonal ingredient and turn it into something creative.
She's gonna be making something sweet. I'm gonna be making something savory.
So let's see what we're working with.
Cherries!
Cherries. All right, cherries are a fantastic ingredient when harvested in season. They are fantastic for a variety of applications, both sweet and savory. They're really great for balancing flavors because you can get sweet and tart varieties, and their color gives them a great visual appeal. So let's get cooking.
Let's get cooking.
So today I'm going to make a deconstructed Black Forest cake, and I'm going to make a chocolate mousse, I'm going to make a chocolate cake, a few variations of cherries, cherry sauce, stewed cherries, and then a sorbet, a cherry sorbet, and an almond chantilly cream. I absolutely love working with seasonal produce. It's just so much fun because it's at the peak of ripeness, so it's so delicious. So it almost makes it easy to use, and you can use it so many different ways. So I absolutely loved working with the cherries and doing as many things as I could with them.
Making a crispy skin chicken thigh with a cherry chicken jus, cherry pistachio couscous, cherry basil relish, and charred zucchini.
So I really enjoy the challenge of cooking savory dishes with fruit. Cherries are not a fruit that I've used a lot in savory dishes, so coming up with this dish was a bit of a challenge, but once I kind of started to figure out where I wanted to go with it and figure out how I could use the cherries, it all started kind of coming together.
Ask me how many Advil I currently need. So I started with my cake, got that in. Then I moved on to my sorbet, got that mixture ready, and then I churned that, and then it has to sit in the freezer to get nice and cold and set up. And then from there, I just moved on to the smaller things, making the mousse, stewing the cherries, making the sauce.
So the first thing I did was debone the chicken thighs. I do like to cook chicken thighs with the bone in a lot of times, but for this particular application, much easier for the diner to eat with the bone out. And I was able to use those bones to fortify the chicken jus. So debone those chicken thighs, salt them generously, and let them sit in the fridge for about an hour. It's gonna draw moisture out of the skin and really help you get a nice crispy skin, and it kind of dry brines and seasons the chicken as well. Then I prepped the zucchini. I did a crosshatch cut on that for two reasons. One, to expose more flesh so that the salt could draw more moisture. Also, it looks really cool once it's cooked. So we're using fresh cherries, which have pits in them. You can go out and buy a cherry pitter, but I don't like to have any tools in my kitchen that only do one thing. So instead of buying a cherry pitter, I got a glass bottle and a straw. You put the cherry on top, you press the straw through, it pushes the pit down into the glass bottle, then you've pitted your cherries. And you can use those pits, don't throw those away. You can use them to infuse alcohols or vinegars or anything like that to add that cherry flavor, which is really nice. Then I worked on the cherry chicken jus. Chicken stock, thyme, shallots, those chicken thighs, and some smashed cherries, which I left the stems and pits in to add a little more bitterness because I didn't want that to come off super sweet. I just wanted to get some of that cherry flavor. You don't want a sweet sauce on your dish.
A little stressful, That mousse wanted a little more time to chill. I pushed that mousse a little bit, but I also wanted to do something like cool and funky with it. I wanted to cut it into a shape. So, had I just piped it or something, it would have been fine. But I was pushing the envelope a little bit. But the mousse definitely stressed me out the most. And then finally making my chantilly before putting it all together. The cake came out really nicely. I did have to alter my presentation because I thought I was going to go one way with the mousse, but then the mousse wasn't setting in time, so I'm like, all right, that's not gonna work. So I had to completely alter my presentation. So that was a little on the fly. I think it turned out really nicely, but it's definitely not what I was planning. And I feel like I could have added a crunch. And I was struggling to figure out what I could do in a small amount of time, and then I had a genius idea, and I'm like, I'm not gonna have enough time for this. So we were missing a crunch, but I don't think Luke noticed.
Then it was time for the couscous. So cook the couscous straight up, 1-to-1 couscous to water ratio, little salt, little olive oil, and just let that absorb. Then I finished that with tart cherries, pistachios, scallions, basil, and mint.
So I wanted to plate the couscous a little different. Usually when you see couscous on a plate, it's just a pile in the middle or it's a ring mold. But I wanted to do something different. So I wanted to do like almost like a ring of couscous instead of a disc. So we didn't have the right ring molds that I needed to do that. So I used a springform pan on the outside and a bowl in the middle. Plated the couscous in that space, then removed the bowl and the springform pan, and got a nice ring of couscous, which I think looked really cool. It held in the sauce in the final plate up as well.
You know, pastry just needs more time. We need more time. Everything, not everything, but a lot of things that I make need to bake and cool so that I can cut them, or they need to chill so that I can cut them. So that's always my biggest concern. Is, am I going to get this done? Not that I'm not going to get it done in time, I'm going to get it done in time, but is it going to have enough time to chill so that I can do what I need to do with it? That's always, always, always my biggest concern. But you got to go for it.
Well, that's another one in the books.
It's done. Thank
Cherries.
goodness. Cherries.
Let's see.
No joke. Let's see.
Yeah.
So we're always eating dessert first. So here you are, chef. Okay, so this is basically a deconstructed Black Forest cake, obviously, with our cherries. Lots of forms of cherries here. So we made a cherry sorbet, we stewed some cherries, then there's fresh cherries there. And the stewed cherries, the cherry sauce and the sorbet are all kind of tart so that it complements and balances the sweetness that's in the chocolate mousse and the chocolate cake. And then there's a little bit of almond chantilly. Almond and cherries go really nicely together.
It's incredible. The mousse is super rich.
Dark chocolate mousse.
The cake is light and fluffy. And then the cherries and the sauce and the sorbet, like you said, provide all that tartness, that acid to balance all the sweet and the rich. This is absolutely fantastic, especially if you get it all in one bite together. You get all the textures.
Exactly.
And those whole cherries in there are really nice. That is.
Could use a little crunch, but you know, time. All right, chef. My turn. Let's go.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, here we go.
I want my cherries. Ooh. I
Crispy
like.
skin chicken thigh,
Ooh, my favorite.
charred zucchini. There's a cherry chicken jus on the plate, a pistachio cherry couscous, and then a basil cherry relish on top.
Ooh, I love it. So I'm trying to get a bite of everything all at once. Love the plating.
It's probably more couscous than you need on the plate, but
So nice. I love the dry cherries and the couscous. They're tart and bright, and you can really taste those. The zucchini is like butter. One, it's got that like really crispy skin,
yeah.
and then the inside is just so beautiful and delicate. So the texture contrast there is fantastic.
Yeah, so I did a crosshatch cut on those and I salted them for like 30 minutes, then pat them dry and cook it cut side down the whole way through.
It is so buttery. It's kind of crazy how buttery that is. And then the relish is amazing. Like citrusy, sort of tart, piquant. It really ties it all together. I think this is fantastic.
Thank you so much.
And very creative presentation.
Thank you very much.
And fantastic work on the crispy chicken.
yeah. Same thing with the chicken. Salted it, let it sit for like an hour, patted it dry, cooked it skin side down the whole way. So
And
it
the
just
basil
cooked
comes
up.
through really nice.
Well,
So good.
freshens it up. There's a little mint in the relish as well. Yeah, so cooking with cherries in a savory dish is tricky. Right?
Yeah,
Or any
for sure.
fruit really, because they're sweet. But luckily, cherries have a bit of inherent tartness to them.
Yep.
So I brought that a little bit with some sherry vinegar and the relish. The cherries add some sweetness to the jus, and then the tart cherries provide a really nice texture, I think, and sweetness and tartness and all those things.
Yeah, it's perfect. And this is a really good example how you have sweet cherries, you have tart cherries, and you know, if you taste them beforehand, you can really work with both of them to use in both sweet and savory applications. You know, bringing out their strength can work perfectly in your dish.
It's cool to try to use something in as many ways as possible, so you can really explore the different textures, the different flavors that it offers.
For sure. Dried cherries, fresh
versatility.
cherries,
Yeah.
frozen cherries.
We've got sauces, we've got sorbets.
Yeah, there's a lot you can do with seasonal produce.
Absolutely.
So you guys go to your local farmer's market, find what is super in season right now, and challenge yourself to use it in as many ways as possible. Explore those different textures and those different flavors and those different techniques, and have some fun with it.
And we'll see you in the next one.